what's happening here in America is that our government is inadvertently supplying the hard drugs to the people in this country. Then they're putting the people who use them in this country in jail.
You know, a lot of people don't know what it's like to come in the house and there's nothing to eat. You know, to go to a supermarket and walk through the store and eat out of the cookies and things of that nature just to have something to eat. Cocaine came along, you know, and gave me a new horizon, I would say.
Where you from, fool? Los Angeles.
What did you say your name was? What did you say your name was?
Hip Hop Justice Radio.
Where we from?
Here we go, y'all. Stevie Styles on the mic. Hip Hop Justice. Who we got on the line?
Hello.
Hello, Hip Hop Justice. Who do we have on the line?
My name is Stacey Washington.
What's up, Stacey?
Hey,
you on Hip Hop Justice?
We're not
Hi.
related, are we? We're not related, are we?
I think I'm your sister.
Oh, there we go. That's what I like, family calling my
Absolutely.
digits. Okay, so now, you want to tell me something about what's going on with Loeffner and his crazy?
Well, yeah, you know, I have seen what was on television on the news and as well read his story in the Los Angeles Times. I also saw a picture of him. And, you know, if I were on the jury, given what I've heard and read, my feeling about it is that when he acted from a position of subconsciousness, and I can see this because one of his eyes is curved in towards the tip of his nose. Everybody brings something special, you know, to a jury, and one thing that I would bring were I on his jury would be my experience with meditation.
I want to talk about more of his eyeball curved towards his nose and how that then sends the message of him being completely insane. You've got to enlighten me.
Well, the way the brain functions, each hemisphere controls the opposite side of the body.
Right.
So if one were to spend an inordinate time, for instance, on the internet, with a lot of the flashing lights and pixels, I feel that it can overtax the part of the brain that one is using. And so from my study of meditation, I really think that because one of his eyes is turned in towards the tip of his nose, that he was not really fully conscious, such that I would feel that at the time he acted, that he did not know what he was doing, and that's the definition of the insanity plea. So if insanity were an option, I would say he was not guilty by reason of an insanity. But if the insanity plea were not an option, I would still have to say that he was innocent, because he just doesn't look like he was fully present at the time.
Stevie, can you look at my eyes? Because I spent a lot of time on the computer.
Okay.
I want to see if my eyes are curved in.
Let me keep your piece packed. All right, I'm just saying.
No,
okay.
there's something very unique about the internet, and it has to do with space-time. A person might sit down and say, you know, decide they're just going to be 10 minutes on the internet, but the next thing you know, you're going from link to link to link, and it's in about 3 hours. And you don't have the sense of time passing the way people otherwise normally do.
Now, couldn't
and
that
so
be easy?
if a person were on the internet for an inordinate amount of time and overtaxing one portion of their brain, say if it's the right side that's leaning in towards the nose, that's the more analytic portion of the brain, whereas the other side of the brain is what you might call more artistic or spiritual. The whole brain is integrated, and the corpus callosum flows between the two hemispheres of the brain. Now, the frontal portion of the brain is for inhibitory behavior, so that if that's not functioning properly, then he couldn't have stopped himself at the time that it occurred. And since that eye is going inward on the basis of meditation, I really feel that he was more closer to a sleepwalking state than to being fully awake.
Stacey,
just by looking at the picture
Stacey, let me
and
ask
the
you
description of what he was doing before all this occurred.
Stacey, let me ask you something. Would this explain these kids that are going out killing people, and the excuse is always it's some video game?
I think so. I think not only is it taxing the young people's brains to spend too much time on video games as well as on the internet, but it's my understanding that even video games have been used to train police officers and people for military service. And I think it is I think it'd be a really great idea if people started doing some medical studies on this.
You know what? And I wanted to go ahead and really poke fun at it until you hit on a nerve, because I am well aware of video games being utilized for not only police officers but for the military as well, and to sort of have train simulations. And so I'm definitely aware of that. But I'm still wondering, does that explain all of his behavior that led up before he shot her? His owning of multiple weapons and his breakdown in his communication, his forming the ill will,
intent.
Saying he did not like her and he did not appreciate her. Aren't those things that also go to form his requisite intent and understanding that what he was doing would obviously result in harm?
Well, like I say, the breakdown of communication really is what I'm looking at here, because I'm actually
that's
a
not a
trained
defense
teacher of
to
the
murder,
deaf.
Stacey.
So
not a defense
I'm a
to
little
murder.
bit familiar with how language works in the brain, and so I really feel like that's a reflection of breakdown in communication, as well as what's happening with the eye. How long was the person on the internet during this period of time?
Yeah, does it make a difference?
Especially if he wasn't on the internet when he shot her. Can you tell me how that even relates? Unless he had on a Google eyepiece at the time. So you're telling me that he didn't know that gun was going to result in hurting her and the other lives and the other judge?
Yeah, because
Okay,
there were
what
other
I'm
shots
saying is that even if he wasn't on the internet, just taking a look at his picture and how that eye is curved inward,
I am
on the
tired of
basis
his eye.
light-
Party 93.4.